Don't fall for these 12 Black Friday tricks at Harbor Freight, because employees say the game is rigged and you're the target. You walk in thinking you're scoring a deal, but what you're actually stepping into is a well-oiled machine built to empty your wallet while making you feel like a genius. These aren't just clever sales. They're precision tactics designed to exploit your instincts, your habits, even your pride. And now, the people who've worked behind the scenes, who've seen exactly how it works, are finally speaking out. What they reveal will change the way you shop forever. Because the truth isn't just surprising, it's personal. And if you stick with this to the end, you'll spot the one trick that even seasoned shoppers still fall for every single year. So let's begin where the manipulation starts. The sold out soon lie. You step inside. The air feels charged. Pallets stacked high, red signs everywhere. And then you see it, limited stock, while supplies last. Your heart skips a beat. That generator you weren't even sure you needed? Suddenly, you're gripping the handle like it's the last life raft on a sinking ship. And that's exactly what they want. Because that little phrase, "while supplies last," isn't just a warning, it's a trigger. A psychological tripwire designed to spark panic, urgency, and FOMO, fear of missing out. And once that fear kicks in, logic leaves the building. You're no longer comparing prices. You're no longer asking if you really need it. You're racing the imaginary crowd to the checkout. Because what if it's gone in 5 minutes? But here's what employees say. Most of those limited items, not limited at all. In fact, one employee said, "We had pallets in the back. People were rushing for things we had more than enough of." Another added, "It's all perception. The sign makes people panic buy. That's the point." Sometimes they'll even space out the display to make it look like stock is running low. 2 boxes on a shelf where there were actually 20. Empty space is a tool. It creates the illusion of demand. And it works, because you're not just shopping anymore, you're competing. Harbor Freight knows that when people feel like they're in a race, they stop thinking clearly. They buy faster, they buy more. And they leave the store convinced they won. But the house always wins. And if you think fake scarcity is sneaky, wait until you find out how they turn old clearance junk into Black Friday hot deals. Clearance in disguise. It looks like a steal. Bright yellow tag. Giant Black Friday special label. Maybe even a red arrow pointing straight at it, like this is the one deal you can't miss. But what if I told you that deal has been sitting on the shelf since spring collecting dust and waiting for a sticker? Here's the dirty little secret. Not everything labeled Black Friday deal is actually new. In fact, some of the most aggressively promoted items are just leftover clearance, dressed up, in fresh packaging. Former employees say this is one of the oldest tricks in the book. Items that didn't sell throughout the year? They're brought back out, cleaned up, relabeled, and slapped with a special buy sign. Same product, same price or barely cheaper. Just now it looks exclusive. One employee said, "We used to call it recycling inventory. Old stuff that didn't move suddenly became a Black Friday spotlight." And most shoppers never notice. Why would they? They're in a rush, surrounded by loud signs and flashing limited time banners. Everything feels urgent. Everything feels like a deal. But if you knew the product's history, if you saw it sitting in the clearance bin 2 months ago, you'd realize you're not getting a Black Friday discount. You're getting Black Friday marketing. That's why Harbor Freight doesn't just discount products. They repackage them. They move them to new shelves. They change the lighting. They rename the promotion. Because once it feels new, you treat it like it's special. So here's the move. Don't let the label do the thinking for you. Look at the item itself. Look at the price history if you can. Ask yourself, is this actually new? Or is it just old stock wearing a Halloween costume 2 weeks too late? Because the real deals aren't always the loudest ones. But if you think rebranded clearance is bad, wait until you see what they do with pricing math that's designed to fool your brain. The fake price drop. You see the sign, and your brain lights up. was $129, now only $79. That's a $50 drop. It feels like a win. But here's the thing. Was it ever really $129? Or is that original price just another part of the performance? What most people don't realize is that some retailers, especially in the weeks leading up to Black Friday, quietly raise prices ahead of time, just a little. Just enough to make the discount look deeper when the sale hits. Employees have confirmed it. One said, "Certain items get price hikes in October, so they look like they're heavily discounted in November. It's not illegal. It's not even new, but it works, because your brain is wired to react to contrast, not context. You don't know the price history of every tool. You just see a big red "was" next to a smaller "now," and your brain fills in the rest. That must be a deal. But here's the math they don't show you. Sometimes the "was" price was never the real price. It's what's called an anchor price, a number designed to make the new price seem like a steal by comparison. It's like selling you a sandwich for $5 and telling you it used to be 10. You feel like you saved 5, but really you just paid what it was always worth. Harbor Freight knows this psychology inside and out. During Black Friday, it's not about the actual value, it's about the perceived value. And perception sells fast. So, if you want to shop smart, don't fall in love with the markdown. Ask yourself, would this still be a good deal if I never saw the old price? Because sometimes the sale is real, and sometimes the numbers are just decoration. But if you think playing with numbers is sneaky, wait until you see how they bundle products together, just to make you pay more for things you don't even need. The bundle trap. You see it all the time. A power drill with a free LED flashlight. A tool set that includes a bonus magnetic tray. A floor jack bundled with a set of gloves. It feels like a no-brainer, right? You're getting more for your money, except you're not. Because that bonus item, it's not really free. And that bundle, it's not always a bargain. This is one of the oldest Black Friday plays in the book. Bundling high-margin, low-value items with moderately discounted tools to make the deal look bigger than it actually is. Your brain sees a bundle and thinks, wow, extra stuff, must be a better deal. But here's what employees say. That free flashlight? It was already being given away 2 weeks ago with a different coupon. That limited edition combo pack? It's just the same products, shoved into a new box, with a higher total price than if you bought them separately. One employee put it this way: half of the bundles during Black Friday were just 2 normal items thrown together, but customers saw "includes bonus" and rushed to grab it. Why does it work? Because when you see a bundle, you stop breaking down the value of each item. Your brain doesn't do math. It reacts to volume, and the more items in the box, the more it feels like you're winning. But in reality, Harbor Freight is controlling the equation. They're choosing what goes in the bundle. They're setting the price. And 9 times out of 10, you're paying for that free item, you just don't realize it. So before you grab that deal that looks too good to be true, slow down. Ask yourself, would I actually buy this extra item on its own? Do I even want it? And what happens if I just buy the main tool without the bundle? Because sometimes less is more. And speaking of deals that don't actually save you anything, wait until you see what Harbor Freight does with those shiny 20% off coupons, and how the fine print flips the deal upside down. The coupon con, you know the drill. You get the email, open the app, or tear the corner off a flyer. It's that familiar promise. Take 20% off any one item. Feels powerful, right? Like you're holding the keys to cheat the system. But here's what they don't tell you until you're already at the register. That coupon, it comes with a catch. Actually, a long list of them. Generators, excluded. Tool chests, excluded. Floor jacks, compressors, welders, batteries, brands like Bauer, Hercules, Icon excluded. And it's not just the expensive stuff. Sometimes even accessories and parts are blocked out. One employee said, "By the time you read the exclusions, there's nothing left worth using it on." It's the classic bait and switch. The coupon gives you confidence walking in the door. You feel like you're armed with savings. But once you're inside, the fine print pulls the rug out. Worse yet, some locations will stack the store with items specifically not eligible for that day's coupon. It's not random, it's strategic. They want you to bring the coupon in, only to find it doesn't apply to what you actually want. And at that point, you're already sold. You've invested the time, the trip, the idea of getting that tool. So what do? You buy it anyway. The coupon didn't save you money, it just got you in the door. That's the game. The value isn't in the discount, it's in how it manipulates your behavior. And Harbor Freight knows exactly how to push those buttons. So the next time you flash that 20% off like a VIP badge, ask yourself, what is this really getting me? Because if the answer is not much, then maybe the best discount is walking away. But coupons are just the beginning. Because sometimes the product you walk out with isn't even the real product you thought you were buying. The product switcheroo, same box, same brand, same name. But what you're buying on Black Friday might not be the same product they usually sell the rest of the year. This trick is one of the sneakiest because it hides in plain sight. To the average shopper, it looks identical. But insiders know some Harbor Freight Black Friday deals use slightly altered versions of popular tools, cheaper builds, missing features, or downgraded components, all under the same familiar label. One employee said, "It was basically a holiday version. Looked the same, felt the same, but it was lighter and not in a good way." These aren't knockoffs. They're strategically stripped down variants, manufactured to hit a specific price point that looks great on a flyer, but quietly sacrifices performance or durability. You might not notice it right away. It's only after a few months, when the drill loses torque, the wrench slips, the battery won't hold a charge, that you realize something's off. But by then, the receipt's gone, the sale is over, and that deal starts feeling more like a warning. It's a tactic used across retail. But at Harbor Freight, where private label brands dominate, it's especially effective because they control the specs, they control the packaging, and on Black Friday, they know you're not going to stop and compare SKU numbers or subtle design differences. You're chasing the price. So how do you protect yourself? Look for model numbers. Check product reviews, but make sure the review matches the exact version you're buying. If it's missing specs or feels too light, trust your gut. Because a good deal on a bad version isn't a deal at all. And if this kind of insider breakdown is helping you shop smarter, do yourself a favor, hit that like button and subscribe. Not just because it supports the channel, but because the next trick is one Harbor Freight uses on everyone every day, and most people never even realize it. Because up next, we're talking red tags, and what those bold red labels actually mean might blow your mind. The red tag mirage. Red means sale, right? Red means discount. Red means you're getting a deal. At least, that's what your brain thinks. And Harbor Freight knows it. This trick doesn't rely on words. It doesn't need flashy slogans or countdown clocks. It uses something even more powerful: color. You walk down the aisle and spot a bright red tag hanging from a shelf. Without even reading it, your brain lights up. You feel like you've spotted a discount, a limited time offer, something urgent. But here's the reality. Not every red tag at Harbor Freight means a lower price. Some of them are just regular price tags. Some are everyday items, always that price, just printed in red. And some, this is the wild part, have never been discounted at all. One employee said, "We had customers grabbing items just because of the red tag. They never looked at the numbers, just saw the color and assumed it was a deal." It works because color influences emotion. Red feels fast, important, scarce. It's the same reason clearance racks in department stores are always splashed with red signs. It hijacks your thinking, makes you trust your gut instead of checking the price. And on Black Friday, surrounded by chaos and urgency, your brain doesn't slow down to read the fine print. It sees red and reacts. But this isn't Target. This isn't Walmart. Harbor Freight's pricing system is different. Some of those red tags? Just product identifiers. Some? Marketing noise. And if you're not paying attention, you'll walk out thinking you scored a win when all you did was buy something at full price, hypnotized by a color. So here's your move. Slow down. Don't trust the tag read it. Compare it. If you're not seeing a crossed out old price or a clear markdown, question it. Because the color red doesn't always mean go. And if red tags can mess with your instincts that easily, just wait until you see how they mess with your ego by making you feel like you've been chosen for an exclusive deal. The fake early access trap. You get the email. Subject line, Black Friday starts early just for you. Your heart jumps a little. You click it. A few products flash across the screen, and suddenly you feel chosen. Member-only access, insider pricing. You didn't just find a deal, you got invited to one. That's the trick. Because the second you believe you're part of an exclusive group, your guard drops. You stop asking questions. You stop comparing prices, and you start thinking, if I don't grab this now, I'll miss out. But here's the truth. That same exclusive offer went out to millions of people. Anyone who downloaded the app, anyone who signed up for the mailing list, anyone who once bought a $5 flashlight 3 years ago and gave their email at checkout. One employee said, "We sent the same early access email to literally every customer we had in the system." But it feels special. And that feeling, it's powerful. It triggers something called reciprocity bias. If someone gives you something first, you feel obligated to respond. In this case, Harbor Freight gives you early access, and you feel pressure to reward that access by buying. Even if the prices aren't better, even if the sale isn't actually early, even if the exact same deal will be available in store to everyone later that week, it's not about beating the crowd. It's about making you feel like you're on the inside, when really, you're just one more person caught in the web. So if an email makes you feel like royalty, pause, ask yourself, would I buy this if I didn't think it was exclusive? Would I still feel the same urgency if I knew everyone else got the same offer? Because when false exclusivity wears off, buyer's remorse hits hard. And speaking of psychological traps, there's a physical one waiting inside the store. Because next up, we're taking a walk through Harbor Freight's Black Friday maze. And once you're in it, getting out without spending more? That's the real challenge. The maze trick. You walk in with a plan, one item, maybe two. You know exactly what you came for, and you're sure you'll be in and out in 5 minutes. But then something strange happens. 10 minutes later, you're deep in the store, holding a solar-powered security light you didn't plan to buy, next to a pack of moving blankets. And, oh look, another LED flashlight. What just happened? This is the maze trick. And on Black Friday, it's operating at full force. See, Harbor Freight, just like many big retailers, strategically rearranges parts of the store during major sales events. The layout changes just enough to disorient you. That item you always grab from aisle 2? Suddenly it's in the back. The deal you saw in the ad? It's tucked behind a wall of unrelated bargains. And guess what happens along the way? You pass shelf after shelf of products you didn't come for, but now suddenly feel tempted by, because they're cheap, because they're shiny, because they weren't in your plan, but now they're in your cart. One former employee put it bluntly, Black Friday was like fishing. We'd move the bait deeper into the store so customers had to swim through everything else to get it. It's retail psychology at work. The more steps you take, the more time you spend inside, the more likely you are to impulse buy. Every twist and turn in that layout isn't an accident. It's designed to slow you down and shake your focus. And here's the real kicker. By the time you find what you came for, you're already committed. You've invested time, you're in the buying mood, so when you see 5 or 6 extra things in your cart, you justify it. You tell yourself, well, I'm already here. That's the trap. You think you're shopping with intention, but the store is shopping you. So here's your play. Go in with a mission. Don't get pulled down the rabbit hole. If they moved your item to the back, take it as a red flag, not an invitation. Because once you're inside the maze, every step is costing you. And if you think that's clever, just wait until you see how they use limits, not to protect stock, but to control your behavior. The fake scarcity play. You see the sign and your instincts kick in. Limit 1 per customer. Now suddenly, what was just a product becomes something more. It feels rare, important, like you've discovered something that everyone else is about to miss. But what if that limit isn't there to protect the inventory, but to mess with your psychology? See, this trick isn't about stock, it's about scarcity. And when Harbor Freight tells you there's a limit, they're not always saying, "We don't have enough." Sometimes what they're really saying is, "We want you to think this is valuable." Because in your mind, if something's being restricted, it must be in demand. And if it's in demand, it must be good. And if it's good, well, you better grab it while you can. But here's the truth. Many of these so-called limited items are fully stocked in the back. One employee said, "That limit 1 tag. Half the time we had way more in storage. It was just there to trigger urgency." Another added, "We'd tell customers it was a corporate policy, but really it was just part of the sale signage. We never actually enforced it unless it was a crazy popular item." It's a manufactured sense of shortage, and it works. It flips a switch in your brain. You stop evaluating the item and start protecting it. You're not even thinking about whether you need it, you're just reacting to the possibility of losing it. This is how they turn an average flashlight into a must-have. A tool you didn't plan to buy becomes a prize. And that limit on the sign, that's the bait. So what's the move? Don't let the limit control your decision. If it wasn't on your list, if you wouldn't buy 2 anyway, the restriction doesn't matter. And if it feels like someone's trying to rush you into a choice, slow down. Because fake scarcity is just another way to make you spend faster, not smarter. And speaking of spending, the next trap hits you at the finish line, when you think the sale is over. But Harbor Freight has one last trick at the register. The add-on ambush. You've made it. You found your item, dodged the maze, ignored the red tags, and resisted the fake scarcity. You're standing at the register, feeling proud, maybe even victorious. And that's when it happens. Do you want to grab batteries for that? Need a charger with it? We've got a 2-year replacement plan. Want to add that on? It sounds helpful, innocent even, but it's not. This is the add-on ambush, and it's one of the last and most effective plays Harbor Freight uses to squeeze just a little more out of every customer before they walk out the door. The psychology is simple. You've already committed, you've mentally made the purchase. So when the cashier offers that one last thing, just a few bucks more, it barely feels like anything. But it adds up fast. One employee said, "We were trained to always offer something at checkout, not because people need it, but because that's when they're most likely to say yes." You're standing in line, bags already packed in your mind, and suddenly you're second-guessing. Do I have batteries at home? Should I protect this tool just in case? What if I don't come back and something goes wrong? They're not upselling you out of greed, they're upselling you out of momentum. Because once you're in motion, it's hard to stop, especially when the add-on feels small compared to the total. But here's the truth. Those little extras, they're profit bombs. The warranty, the accessory, the random flashlight keychain. It's all margin, and it's all timing. So here's the move. Decide before you get to the register. Do you actually need the extra warranty? Do you already have the batteries? If not, don't let the question make the decision for you. Because the checkout isn't the end of the sale, it's the final battlefield. And just when you think you've seen it all, there's still one more move Harbor Freight has up its sleeve. It's subtle, it's strategic, and it targets shoppers who think they've beaten the system, because the final trick doesn't hit until the weekend's almost over. The delayed doorbuster. Black Friday morning, you set the alarm, skip breakfast, and rush to Harbor Freight before the crowd. You're ready. You've seen the ad, circled your targets, and told yourself, if I get there early, I'll get the best deals. But what if you're showing up to the wrong fight, at the wrong time? Because here's the twist. Some of Harbor Freight's best deals don't even drop on Black Friday. They're held back intentionally for later in the weekend. It sounds crazy, but employees say it's part of the strategy. One former staffer explained, "People rush in Friday morning expecting the best stuff, but Saturday and even Sunday would get new discounts, sometimes better ones. We'd restock with things that weren't even advertised." Why? Because it's smart. Black Friday drives the hype. It pulls the crowds. But once Friday's over, Harbor Freight knows the traffic drops. So what do? They stagger the deals, spread them out, give people a reason to come back, and most shoppers never know. You walk in Friday morning thinking it's now or never. You spend fast. You overcommit. And by the time the real doorbusters hit the shelves Saturday afternoon, you've already spent your budget and Harbor Freight's already won. This is the final move, the last sleight of hand. It's not just about what's on sale, it's about when. And if you're only playing on Friday, you're playing right into their hands. So here's the move. Don't rush. Don't assume the first wave is the best. If you're serious about finding true deals, pay attention to how the sale shifts, check updates, compare prices, shop with strategy, not adrenaline. Because the best trick Harbor Freight ever pulled was convincing you the game ended on Friday. And if even one of these tricks opened your eyes, then it's time to help someone else wake up too. Hit that like button if you've ever fallen for one of these traps, or almost did. Subscribe if you want more honest, no BS breakdowns on how retailers manipulate you. And drop a comment telling us, which trick have you seen with your own eyes? Or worse, which one got you?